At the hardware store, I'm sure you can tell by the bag, got everything. Oh, the receipt, that's important. We'll see that later, see how much it cost me. But anyway, I got what I think is everything that I'm gonna need to make this Steadicam. I've chosen to take some liberty with the designs. They all looked really big and kind of unwieldy. I like all this stuff to be, my filming gear to be really portable. So what I've done is I've gotten smaller pipes instead of, you know, the full-on 12-inch pipes, 2 of them joined together. It's going to be at least, with the joiner and the camera and the camera plate, it's going to be at least like 2.5 feet. I want that to be more in the 18 to 24 inch range. So I went with some shorter pipes and naturally got a shorter handle for the side. I'm going to go ahead and open everything up here, maybe give it a little bit of an explanation of what I've got. So, what we're looking at is a bunch of just regular, good old-fashioned plumbing hardware. I was thinking about getting PVC. In fact, I had it in my cart. But seeing as how this Steadicam thing is supposed to rely so heavily on balance, I figured that weight, the thing having some heft to it, was kind of an essential part to it. And I didn't think that PVC would give me the weight that I would need. So I chose to go with the steel. So let's see what I got. I got 2 long pipes the same size and a slightly shorter pipe. These are going to form the stick. The camera's going to go up here, the weight is going to go down here. The side stick is going to go here, and that's what you're going to use to hold it and steady it. One of these plates is where you're going to mount the camera. The other of these plates, this end nut is going to go here, cap end. These other plates are too big for these pipes, but they're pretty heavy. So I grabbed 2 of these to use as my weights, which I'll secure with that end cap down there. But let's just go ahead and start building and see what happens. First things first, let me explain some of this stuff, I guess. Some stuff you guys might not be, some of the finer points that you guys might not be too familiar with. This is called a carriage bolt. It doesn't have any receiving groove for a flathead or Phillips or hex head. It's the type of hardware you find on a wheelbarrow. Just underneath, it's got this square kind of nub that's made to fit into a square socket in a piece of wood, and that's what'll stop it from turning. Crush washers. Essentially, they're washers with a slit in them that are bent off-center. And so what happens is when you tighten a nut onto a bolt with this in there, it crushes, and for all time, it's going to be trying to revert back to this off-center plane and giving resistance against the nut, so the nut can't back out. It's a good little thing to have for certain projects, I think, for this, and I think you'll see why soon. So let's get stripping all this packaging crap off of here. If I had a frigging... There we go. Another tip. I always, with very rare exception, I keep my utility knives loaded with a roofer's blade. You can tell it's hooked. It's made for hooking around tar paper and then pulling through. It's every bit as good as at cutting boxes open and everything else, but it kind of gives you a bit of a mechanical advantage because of that hook. You're kind of more secure. You're less liable to slip and cut yourself. And if you're cutting through something really kind of hard, like thick plastic, it gives you more purchase on what you're cutting through. So I find that they're safer, they're almost, if not more, useful than your regular straight razor that you're going to find in a utility knife. So anyway, getting back to it, let's take some of these packaging labels and things off. Really clean these up. Probably wash them. I'll probably wash them, and if not, give them a little bit of a sanding, because any steel or iron, basically any metal raw material you buy is going to be covered in an anti-rust coating, because they want it to look nice and new and shiny and worth buying when it's on a shelf. So they coat it in this gunk, some type of grease, and you want to get that off before you paint it. So you know what, I might just get as much of this off as I can and then hit it with a little bit of sandpaper. This is sandpaper. I do not know what grit. Looks like 150. It's like 150 grit. I don't care what the grit is for an application like this. I'm just trying to scuff this up and get some junk off it. I'm not going to hurt it. Also, this is drywall sandpaper, and it's made to be loaded onto a handle so that you can really remove your skim coat from drywall. But I find that when you buy sandpaper in big sheets, which I have also, you tend to fold them up into a size similar to this when you use them. So if they're the same price or whatever, why not just get this? Did I mention that I'm in a garage in Las Vegas on July 1st? That's where all the sweat is coming from. I apologize. This right here, that guy, that's called Teflon tape. It's used usually when working with metal and things that are threaded, okay? What it's going to do is I'm going to wrap it around the threads, and when I screw everything together, it's going to basically take up any extra space, any play in the threads on both components, and it's going to make for a stronger, tighter connection that's less prone to backing out. At the same time, it kind of also prevents things from locking on to one another too tight, because there's Teflon. Teflon doesn't like things to stick to it. So, yeah, that's what that's for. I've already got some old Teflon tape right here. Where are these guys? Are these guys greasy? Okay. So, I guess this piece is a good piece to start at as any. You want to overlap the Teflon tape and then just run it along the threads and keep pressure on it. You don't want to pull too hard or else it'll snap. But you want to cover basically all the threads pretty tight, and it kind of clings to itself. I'm going to start with the T first, just because I feel like it. And what I might need is a vise and a pipe wrench. Ooh, that is really snug. Carrying on. I'm just going to make this all hand tight, so hopefully I'll be able to take it apart. But that's the general size and shape of it. It's just the accessories. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to call this the bottom, stick on my weights. Bottom cap. Side cap. Beginning it to take form. Now that I've got the basic gist of it going on here, this is going to go on the top like that. Okay? Once it's on there, well, before it gets on there, I've got to connect it to this little board I bought. So, Another tip. We're going to get something and we're going to put our screws in it. You can buy really nice, fancy screw holders and things like that to keep your stuff from rolling off onto the floor. Right, this was a little spray paint can. So, chucking a bit, you slip it in. Then you hold, not the bit, but you hold the chuck, the spinny part. Real easy. That'll probably do it. Let's see. Perfect. Configuration I'm going to use here. This is going to be the top. This is going to be the bottom. I'm going to put on a nut, and I'm going to run it basically all the way down. Then I'm going to put on one of these lock washers. Then I'm going to slip it through. There we go. Now that I've got that there, I'm going to put on another lock washer and a nut. Let's go ahead, just because I can, because I have that ability. Let's go ahead and bore this out so that that nut sits flush. Take my 1/2-inch paddle bit. We're going to hog out some of the material in the top. Careful now, because paddle bits, he's going to take up and off a lot of material. So what I need to do is be careful that this thing doesn't, the material doesn't start spinning and rip my thumbs off. So I'm going to start real slow. Whenever you blow off anything that you've cut, before you blow, close your eyes. Because you will blow that sawdust or steel dust or whatever kind of dust it is, you'll blow it right in your eyes. Okay. Alright, I like that a lot better so far. So good. Ooh. I'm going to need to make that bigger. Why, you might ask? Because how am I going to tighten it if I can't get to it? 5/8. I'm going to go with 3/4. We're going to go to full Monty with this. 3/4 inch paddle bit. Close your eyes before you blow. Alright. Now let's see how we're doing. Sawdust out of there. Lock washer. Second nut. Now, the reason I've put 2 nuts on there is because the average camera can only accept so much thread. A very small amount, from what I can tell. It seems like somewhere in the ballpark of about 1/4 inch. Here's a new camera I bought just today, actually. That's the threaded hole that accepts this screw. Okay? And let's see how much of this it will accept. I want it so that when it's snug, oh, that's perfect. I'm happy with that. Looks like it fits rather well. Alright. Hey, look, it's got one right here. Now, I'm not going to sink any of these. I'm not going to do it just yet anyway. I'm going to see how my progress is going. Kind of, because I want it to be centered. since I want it to be centered, I'm going to insert these screws in the same way that you would tighten the lug nuts on a tire. It'll bind up on itself and lay cockeyed, both this kind of sprocket deal and a tire, if you just go around in a circle, tightening each lug nut or screw. What you want to do is kind of get everything kind of snug, finger tight, and then do opposites in some type of pattern like that. And that'll stop it from binding up on itself. Okay, I'm going to call that good. Now we're going to thread this bad boy on as far as he wants to go. I like something like that. And that's essentially what they were talking about. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to spray paint it flat black, just so it looks less homemade and pipe bomby. I want to make it look like a professional pipe bomb. When you finish spray painting, for when you're not going to be using the can for any extended period of time, more than 10, 15, 20 minutes, what you want to do is you want to hold it upside down. This will make, now the straw is at the bottom, which is now the top, right? So what's going to happen is when I invert it, the propellant is going to shoot out, and it's going to blow that extra paint down. Now, propellant can't clog up the nozzle. The propellant doesn't harden. But, so if I spray paint and then I stop and just walk away, next time I come back, the nozzle's going to be clogged with dried paint. So what I want to do is invert it, blow it out. So that'll be ready to use next time I need to use it. I think that looks alright. Screw on the camera again. And there you have it. Finished Steadicam. Hope you liked it.